In that moment of silence, Iris stumbled sleepily from the bedroom, and all talk of divorce stopped. Neither one of them wanted to talk about it in front of their daughter. As she rubbed her eyes, Iris caught sight of the breakfast on the table. Oblivious to the tension in the room, her eyes grew as wide as dinner plates.
Oh, milk and toast.
Wash your face and brush your teeth first.
But I'm so hungry.
All right, Daddy will take you.
With that, Luka gently picked her up and carried the giggling Iris into the bathroom. Marcia merely pouted. She waited until the two had finished and left the bathroom before going in. After breakfast, Luka took the initiative and cleared away the dishes, making sure everything was spick and span before going out the door with Marcia. Marcia still needed to go to her office, so Luka went to the kindergartens in the neighborhood. There were 2 in the vicinity. The cheapest one wasn't too far, but they didn't provide free food for the children. Meals were only provided on request and at an additional cost. The tuition for the other kindergarten was more than double that of the first one, and despite that, they didn't provide free food. However, it had a beautiful campus environment and higher quality teachers. Luka didn't hesitate and went directly to the better kindergarten. As they approached, Iris's eyes were bright with excitement as she watched a group of children playing a game with a teacher. Luka found the kindergarten's principal and asked if Iris could participate in trial days, which he knew most schools offered. He knew other parents might not even bother with a trial. For them, the high cost automatically meant the school was good, and they went straight to registration.
Remember to play nicely with other children. I'll come and pick you up later.
Luka told Iris solemnly before leaving. She hummed back obediently. Her expression was one of joy and excitement. She had no worries or thoughts about the possibility of her parents separating. Instead, led by the teacher, she waddled toward the other children. Luka watched her leave, and then, after making sure there were no problems, he left the kindergarten. He had promised to earn $1 million in 100 days, and he didn't want to break his promise. In his mind, he had an extremely clear picture of what would happen in the next 60 years.
I've already lived through this period once. I know what happened to the economy and which industries were profitable. Surely, I can use that to my advantage and make the $1 million easily.
Before being reborn, he had been a successful businessman. He was sure about his ability to make more money. Even in that moment, he was taking a gamble. The trial period for the kindergarten was only 2 days, so he had to find the money for the tuition fees within that time. The cost wasn't a small amount for him, but he was confident. After getting the $100 from his wife, Lukas started forming a plan.
If my memory serves, there should be an event at the kids' amusement park tonight. It should be simple enough to make something there. I can use it to my advantage and start pulling the money in.
He headed straight for the wholesale market, where he spent some of the $100 on 40 bright foil balloons with designs of famous cartoon characters. They were covered in small, shiny beads, which he hoped would attract the attention of the children who were there with their parents. The wholesale price was pretty high, but he didn't think it would be hard to turn a 10-fold profit. In his past life, when he was still fooling around with hooligans, he had seen others hawking cartoon-related merchandise by the roadside. Profit was pretty good, and he was sure that those who were well prepared and stocked could make a killing in one night. The only problem he could see with his plan was that he only had a little money, and he had no intention of borrowing more from somebody else. The event at the amusement park was going to be held over 2 days. He knew that as soon as the hype blew over, his chance at a windfall was gone for good. He started filling the balloons with air and knotting them. Marcia didn't return to the house at noon. It was common for her to work through lunch at the company. As evening grew closer, Luka fetched Iris from the kindergarten and took her to the amusement park. The park was located smack in the middle of the city's entertainment district. He made his way toward the main square. A lot of people had gathered there, and they could see all kinds of sculptures and dolls in the park. Iris was excited, and her eyes bulged in wonder at the sights. It was her first time there, and she was curious about everything. As for Luka, he was pulling out and selling large bunches of balloons. He was no stranger to work. In the past, he had worked all kinds of jobs, like washing dishes and handing out leaflets. Even Iris was eager to help him sell the balloons. They went down a treat with the youngsters who were there, and by the time they had been halfway around the square, the balloons had sold out. Luka looked at the money in his hand and figured that he had made an 11-fold profit.
If only I'd had more money to start with. I could have earned loads more. Still, there's always tomorrow. If everything goes well, I should be able to make another healthy profit, and I might even have some left over to pay for Marcia's fine.
Although he was happy keeping Iris out for a little longer, she hadn't eaten anything yet, and he was forced to take her home. On the way back, he made a pit stop by the market for groceries. When Marcia came home, she found Iris in the kitchen pouring tomato soup and scrambled eggs over rice. She thought with a smile, "I love that kids think this seems to make the rice taste better."
Mommy, come and eat. Daddy cooked dinner, and everything's really good.
Looking at the dishes on the table, Marcia's first reaction was confusion. As Luka reached out to take her bag from her, she unconsciously moved backward, leaving his hand hanging awkwardly in the air. He withdrew it immediately. Marcia couldn't believe it. Dishes were set on the table, and the food was being warmed on the stove. Suspicious, as always, she looked at Luka. She asked after a while, "Where did you get all of this?"
I cooked it all myself. Iris watched me do it. She can vouch for me.
Iris immediately nodded hard and raised her little hand.
I can prove it. Daddy made this. Today, he took me to kindergarten. Then we went to an amusement park. We sold balloons and made lots of money. So we can help you pay the company.
Instead of being happy, Marcia's face darkened in rage. "Who taught you to lie?" She snapped at Iris. She was having difficulty believing her husband could change, and now it seemed he was dragging their daughter into it. She thought, "If there was something on the floor, he wouldn't even pick it up. And now here he is cooking. As for that crap about selling balloons to make money..."
Mommy, I'm telling the truth. I'm not lying.
Marcia's anger erupted. She stomped over to Iris and slapped her. "You know that Mommy hates lying the most, don't you? So why are you doing it?"
I didn't lie.
Her bottom lip started to quiver before she burst into tears. Marcia stood poker-faced.
That's enough.
Luka grabbed her hand.
You don't believe me, it's fine. I can understand why, but why did you hit Iris?
Suddenly, there was another loud smack. In the heat of the moment, Marcia's hand swung across Luka's face.